So I'm going to tell you three things in this short presentation. Really, what's been happening, a little bit brief about the content that is in there, and what's the next steps for this piece of work. I should also acknowledge that Ben Towell from the BCA in Singapore has been the main contributor to this piece of work, and just like Johannes was saying there, I'm standing in doing the tough duty of traveling to Cape Town. Also, the GBC rating tool has representation from across the globe, really, and it's majority those ones that have rating tools and operate them. So why do we need this? This guide that has been put together, I might give you a status update on where it's at first. It's about a 15-page document. It's a fantastic read. It's got pretty pictures and actually language that people can understand. So it's well written, and it's in a final draft stage at the moment. It'll be circulated to the rating tool committee once again, and then it'll be circulated broader. I have the copy on my in my bag, so if you're keen to have a look at it in the coming week, I'm happy to share it. So why do we need this? It's really a tool to improve what we do every day, especially for us that do operate rating tools. We think about this quite a lot, and quality is really important to maintain the rigor and how trusted we are in running these great rating tools. It's also to support developing new rating tools. So there's two sides to it. It's the development of new rating tools, and it's operating them when they're up and running. So it's two quite different business operations, I suppose. So the guide covers both. What we also try to do in this rating tool committee is to define best practice for rating tool development and operations. So we've had quite a lot of experience. I mean, Green Star, which I work with, has been up and running for about 10 years, and the lead program has been up and running longer than that. So we've had significant input from the people that run these and develop these rating tool standards on how you do it and what works and what doesn't work. So it's really a way to define best practice in rating tool development and operation. I think the key to say is rating tool in green building rating tools. So there's a lot of other standards for how you might do this kind of processes, but this is specific to green building rating tools. What else do we do? I mean, using this standard and using this guide for how you might want to run your business is a way to improve the credibility of green building rating tools around the world. What this guide is not yet is a way for the World GBC to recognize rating tools. It might lead to that in the future, but this guide doesn't really set out, do this and you will get recognized. It sets out requirements that says, do this and your business will run better and your tool will be more trusted and perhaps more used. So there's the key content of the guide is that it's best practice for guidance for quality, and it has a methodology for how you might check quality in what you do. So it says out what best practice is, and then quite handy tips and tricks on how you might check against that. As I mentioned before, it has two parts. It is development of new rating tools, and it's operation of existing rating tools, and also how you set up your organization so that you can operate those rating tools that you have in development. The key page of the guide is really the checklist. So this is the key content. Before I go into what the checklist actually includes, I might also mention that there are a couple of other standards around it: ISO 9001, 17020, and 17065. This guide uses a similar language to those standards, and it could potentially be used as a pathway towards certification under those standards. It uses the Plan, Do, Act, Check, Act framework as it's in those standards, and it could certainly be used as a pathway. It won't lead you to a full accreditation. So the checklist that is set out to be very easy to use, and it's got little checkboxes which you can tick when you've done it, says out this is what you do. So the first one is to actually have a quality management system in your organization. I know many of us are startups and haven't been up and running for that long. To have an established quality management system will help. The other key thing that the guide is talking about is to manage the relationship between the parties involved. As you know, stakeholder engagement is absolutely critical to get a green building rating tool up and running. And to manage the relationships carefully and in a professional manner is also part of the guide and the checklist. The other thing that we talk about in the guide is to make information about the rating tool available to a broad public so that people can see what is this all about and how was this developed, what was the reason for that criteria over that criteria, etc., and how does the how is the assessment done as well. So it's fair enough to have a quality management system. This next checklist point talks about publishing the management system documentation so it's transparent on how the quality management system works. The other key thing that might be a challenge upfront is to resource appropriately to manage the operations of the rating tool. Running a rating tool is a pretty significant business operation, and to have the right resources in place and be prepared for perhaps the onslaught of submissions and assessment that you might want to get from publishing a rating tool. I mean, Green Building Council South Africa is releasing 2 new rating tools in the next couple of days, and I'm sure they've been trying to get their head around, all right, what's going to happen in the next couple of months, and how do we have the right people in place, the right systems, etc. It's really key to have that up and running. The other thing that we talk about in this guide is to have a comprehensive feedback loop. Once these tools, as these tools are being developed through stakeholder consultation, there is only so much that you can predict about what's going to happen and how it will be used. Having the feedback, an open feedback loop from the people that are actually using the rating tool on the ground, in buildings, and getting assessed, assessors and product teams putting together the submissions, absolutely critical to have that opportunity to come back, refine the tool, and have a new version of it. Again, about transparency, we talked about the quality management system. I guess this is the next part. This is to publish the quality policy and the objectives. And finally, hire the right people. This might mean hire the right people on staff, but also on your board, on your assessment panel, and on your committees that are going to develop these standards. That's the checklist so far. The next steps for this piece of work is through the rating tool committee, and there's been some talk about having a specific guidance around rating tools for emerging GBCs, so that's going to go on the agenda and work will start on that. We'll also put together some case studies for how this has been done successfully around the world, and perhaps, if we can, some cases where it might not have been successful. Good learnings from those as well. So the GBC with rating tools will be invited to comment in the coming months. As I mentioned before, I have a copy of the document, so if you're interested in having a look at it earlier than that, if it's just that exciting, let me know and I'll share it with you. And then once we have had another round of review of it, it'll be made available to all green building councils that are members of the World GBC. And it's not yet on the website, but as I said, it's available. That's it, and I think I kept within the minutes okay, right? So, questions perhaps?
I think just to sort of put this in context, some of you might be thinking, why are we encouraging new rating tools? Do we really need another rating tool in this world, especially people from companies? I think really what this is trying to demonstrate is that developing a rating tool is not simple. There's a lot of resource that sits behind it, there's a lot of thinking, and so part of what we're trying to do here is share some of that experience from the more experienced rating tool operators. The other thing is we know that GBCs often develop a rating tool with encouragement from their governments, because rating tools are connected to building codes. And so this divergence of rating tools and technical standards around the world is a reality and still happening. Maybe at some point in the future we will start to converge again, but in reality that's not happening yet. So what this is trying to do is to really show the breadth and the depth of what needs to occur to develop a rating system and create within our network at least some sort of framework to have some standard of quality that at least you all meet. Any direct questions for Orjan on this now? Okay, thanks Orjan.